Aston Martin is the team that surprised us the most in a positive way throughout the 2023 season, and now they're facing a slump in the performance of the AMR23. The team has revealed something that will bring back the smiles of their entire fan base. While many of the teams are focused on 2024 and are not bound to bring upgrades for the remainder of the season, there's no doubt that Aston Martin won't follow this way, which would present a direct threat to Red Bull's domination and their goal to win every race this season. What is even more interesting is the fact that the first upgrade package will be brought in Zandvoort, the upcoming race where Alonso would look forward to disrupting the dominance of Verstappen. Even though Aston Martin are currently going through a very disturbing process of finding out what's wrong with the car after Pirelli introduced the new compound tyres in Silverstone, it goes without saying that what they did in the 2023 campaign deserves praise and applause. However, if there's one thing I can definitely and very confidently say about Lawrence Stroll and Fernando Alonso is that they won't be giving up anytime soon. And with the recent pressure of the first win of the team coming along in 2023, if possible, there's a huge possibility that we'll see Nando cross the checkered flag first for the 33rd time in his career. It is, though, worth mentioning that the competition has got tougher, and with Alonso having 6 podiums in the first 8 races, that has changed drastically in the last 4 races. Aston Martin was nowhere to be found in the top 5, and now they're trailing Mercedes for 51 points in the Constructors' Championship in P3. Although Alonso is very positive about this outcome and what his team has achieved in the current season, the difference would have been much bigger had it not been for Russell's struggles in the last couple of races, ones that have distanced him a solid 49 points behind his teammate Hamilton. This is an ongoing issue in Aston Martin as well, because Stroll and Alonso are currently holding the second largest margin between teammates right after Perez and Verstappen, with the difference that the Red Bull duo are 1-2 in the Drivers' Championship. Be that as it may, the P2 place is up for grabs in both championships, and one of the teams that would be very keen on grabbing it is Aston Martin, with their mission starting this racing weekend. The team principal Mike Crack was very confident about what's coming in Zandvoort, and the fact that he admitted his team would not be giving up until the very end of the season with upgrading their car for obvious reasons goes to show that the Red Bull's dominance might be coming to an end sooner rather than later. I know that it seems like Verstappen is untouchable right now, and that would remain the case until 2026, but with how McLaren has been able to find half a second of performance with a couple of upgrades, there are no indications that Aston Martin won't be able to follow the same development path themselves. Speaking about the upcoming race as well as the foreseeable future for the Silverstone-based squad, Mike Crack went on to say, all the races have upgrades, and if you look at the upgrade list for Zandvoort, you will see and you will read something. We are not switching off the tap development, it's full on. The magic bullet, I wish I could confirm that, but we have set up a plan and a development plan, and it was based on continuously developing the car. We follow that, and obviously you need to see what directions you take depending on what happens. Also, we have now an opportunity after 11 races to take a reflection point, and we have 10 times more points than we had at this stage last time. We are P3 in the championship, and obviously the expectations rise with your results. Now, it goes without saying that the difference in the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship is more than volatile, considering the fact that Alonso is holding on to the 3rd position in the Drivers' Championship by a single point, but his team is trailing Mercedes by 51 points. To top that off, they only have a 5-point advantage over Ferrari, and we must never forget McLaren, the team that gathered 86 points over the course of the last 4 races, and if they continue on that strong surge in the second half of the season, I highly doubt that Aston Martin and Ferrari can consider themselves safe for the P3 and P4 positions in the championship. Therefore, the upgrades that are coming in the second half of the season, starting from Zandvoort onwards, are not just to secure the solid foundation on which the team would build the 2024 Challenger on, but also to confirm their status as the 2nd or 3rd best team on the grid, which would give them a massive amount of cash influx. Obviously, them finishing P7 last year meant that they were one of the teams with the most amount of wind tunnel and CFD time to use, but with the latest issues from the new tyres, the issues might not be as easily solvable as Aston Martin would have hoped. Another issue that they're yet to tackle is Lance Stroll's performance, because you can't hope to be the second team in the Constructors' Championship and only have one driver who will fight both Mercedes competitors out there. In the beginning of the season, Lance did some solid results and managed to beat Russell on a couple of occasions, but with the sudden drop of performance from the AMR 23, it was yet another additional blow for the Silverstone-based squad. Considering the fact that his father owns the team, I doubt that he'll feel any pressure to do any better job of what he's doing right now, which is below modest, and that might be the biggest woe that would put Aston Martin in a very bad situation, despite their upgrades panning out to be a great improvement of the car. Nonetheless, the team has very high hopes for the remainder of the season, and in the last 10 races, the goal is plain and simple: take down Mercedes and show them that the future is now. Some of the races that turned out to be turning points in Aston Martin's season are Canada and Monaco, and this is when the team understood what needs to be done in order to be one step ahead of Mercedes. As Crack continued to say, "The upgrades that we've put on the car have worked and the numbers are where they should be, but I think the results over the last few races are representative of where we are. Events like Monaco and Canada were outliers. They masked the weakness. And because we did well in those events, expectations ramped up only for the disappointment to be bigger at Barcelona, Austria, Silverstone and Budapest, where we couldn't achieve such top results." The number one issue that the Zandvoort upgrades will aim to solve would be the tyre degradation issues, which could mean that the Silverstone-based squad is going to bring upgrades to the front wing as well as improvements on the rear downforce. Even though they entered the season as one of the best teams, regarding the rear downforce matter alongside Red Bull, it seems like they have lost the advantage over the course of the season, and they were left hoping that Alonso would bail them out with solid points thanks to his knowledge, wisdom and expertise. Alonso has shown many times that he's a great human being by sharing his personal advice with Lance Stroll in the middle of the race. But that itself doesn't mean that we're going to see this kind version of the two-time world champion. The second he feels like Aston Martin has a championship-winning car, a process on which the team will be working on from Zandvoort onwards, I don't feel he'd be as kind to Stroll. And this is something that Mike Crack has spoken about from the side of Lance Stroll, saying that one of the toughest jobs you can have in Formula One is to be the teammate of Alonso. As he went on to say, when you look at it, there's a big difference in points, but if you look through to how it came about, how it did happen, you find sensible explanations for how it went. For us as a team, the gap between Stroll and Alonso is not really a problem, because you can see, like in Hungary, he is competitive. He is on similar levels to Fernando, and I think you need not to forget you have one of the greatest drivers as your teammate. This is not easy. Therefore, Zandvoort is the race in which Aston Martin will try to change the narrative a bit, and although the championship is more or less sealed up when it comes to who will win it, the place for P2 is anything but over. What do you think about Aston Martin's mission to tackle down Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship? Let us know in the comments below.